In this part of the course, we're going to be going over the evaluation of the bird for damage. This is the first step in mounting the turkey. This can actually help to determine our pose and determine other things we'll need to do throughout the mounting process, like possibly planning for repairs on feather tracks. The first thing I always look at is the breast feathers of the turkey. This is a focal point, especially on a full strut mount, and quite often the damage is going to be occurring at the breast feathers. Now they look a little disheveled and beat up right now, but it's simply because of shot damage and from the bird flopping around and some blood and water that got on it. So it doesn't necessarily tell me that these are heavily damaged, even though they don't look very good at this point. What I actually look at is I look at each one of the feathers that look a little chewed up. I'm just going to look at them and see if they actually are chewed up or broken. This particular feather here is a little bit, as you can see. Right there's a few little pieces that actually chips that came out of the feather. That's not really a big deal. We can groom that out or hide it during the actual finished grooming process. Actually lifting up the feathers, and I'm just seeing if there's anything missing or anything broken. There's a few broken feathers in here, but as long as they're still attached, we can actually incorporate those into the mount. I'm not seeing any missing feathers. If we would encounter any large areas of missing feathers, we can actually repair that after the bird is mounted. So we don't have to worry about that right now. So overall, actually, there's very little damage on this turkey. I would consider this to be a good specimen. You're really not going to get a turkey in that doesn't have some damage. Just from being shot and flopping around, they're going to have damage. So as long as the damage is fairly minimal, it can be worked with and cleaned up relatively easily. Next thing we're going to look at is the neck. Again, these feathers are wetted down here, but I can see nothing is missing and nothing is actually broken, so they're actually fine. Can actually check the wings now. As you can see on this wing, there's a double fracture. This is from being shot. Actually, some of the bones sticking out. This is something we'll repair during the actual sewing up of the wing in the mounting process. Not something we have to worry about now. We just need to take a note of it. We'll look at the show side of the wing, which is this side, see if there's any major damage here from that break, and there actually isn't. Now, on a full strut pose like this, you're not going to see any of this damage under here, so it's not an issue. It's just something we have to fix. We'll look at the wing coverts. Just pull them all out. They kind of got pushed in on the primaries, which is common. Get those released and take a look at them. They look fine. Go ahead and open up the wing. See if there's any major damage. This is a full strut pose, so this is all going to be showing. I'm not seeing anything there. It looks good. Okay, we'll look at the back of the turkey now. The back of the neck, again, this looks nice. This is actually going to be compressed with the full strut pose, so if there was a little bit of damage in here, it would be hidden. Look at the mantle feathers. Again, I'm not seeing any damage there. You can kind of lift them up and take a look underneath them, see if you're missing anything. We're not. These are the scapula groups, where my fingers are. I'm going to take a quick look at those. These are actually very common to get broken up during the shot process when the bird is shot and when the bird is flopping around. So you're going to run into a lot of damage on these. This particular bird, they look really good. I don't see any damage there. If any part of this is severely damaged, what I actually normally do is mount the turkey, and I'll actually cut these completely off and just replace it with a new scapula group. It's a lot easier to do, but that's done after the bird is mounted. We'll check over the hackle. Normally on almost all turkeys, the hackle is going to be in pretty good shape. It's rarely beat up. And in this case, that's no exception. There is no major damage here. Also take a look at the tail. Again, the tails can normally be beat up. This one looks really nice. If you do have a few tail feathers that are broken, you can actually replace those. In this particular case, there's no problem. Let's flip them over. We'll look at the breast feathers from this side. Again, I'm not seeing any major problems with them. Nothing is sticking out as a big deal. On this wing, it's not broken. Go ahead and open them up. Looks good. Take a quick look at the legs. This leg, it looks good. There's no damage. The spur is actually broke here, but that's natural. We're going to keep that. Now this particular leg, as you can see, it has a major deformity. And it looks like at some point it actually broke right above the pad and the toes and grew back fairly majorly deformed. This is something we're going to actually keep natural. We're going to work with it. It's going to make the mounting process a little more difficult, especially with running the wire through and trying to get the form leveled. But when I actually picked out the turkey to do this course, I did not pick out a perfect specimen. I wanted to pick out one that had a few problems, and this one's main problems are this break that actually healed up and that wing break and a few missing feathers on the breast feathers. So those are all things we'll be dealing with throughout the process. One more quick thing we're going to look over is the actual head of the turkey. You want to see if there's any major shot damage on it. This one does not have that. It does have a little bit of beak damage, but that can be easily repaired. If you do run into a head that is heavily damaged, I would recommend just buying a stock head from one of the freeze dryers and just replacing it. There's no need to try to make major repairs on these. If there's minor repairs, it can actually be made with epoxy once you get it back from the freeze dryer. We'll be going over that in depth as we get to that part. Now that we've actually evaluated the bird and we're ready to proceed, we can actually start the skinning process.